it's not like California doesn't know how to regulate. Oh, they know. They know. We are the most regulated state in the nation with more than 395,000 regulatory restrictions. It is a constant nightmare of inspectors and permits and fees. In this state, if you get to your car 10 seconds after the parking meter expires, it's already gone and you'll never see it again.
What happens when a governor starts acting like a presidential candidate before fixing his own state? That's exactly the question Bill Maher is forcing into the spotlight, and his target, Gavin Newsom, isn't escaping the heat.
And listen, I don't have some personal vendetta against almonds. They're just not more important than the entire ecosystem of California. So when I hear that our state grows 81% of the whole world's almonds, the world's thirstiest crop, while our reservoirs run dry and giant fires burn out of control, I have a few questions, starting with what the This is life and death, and almonds are just not crucial.
Newsom hasn't officially announced anything, but let's be real. Everyone can see the runway being cleared for a White House bid. The problem? Maher isn't buying it. He argues you don't get to campaign for America while your own state is sending warning signals. And unless Newsom pivots back toward the political center, Maher says that presidential dream is dead on arrival.
California did a real California thing and banned business travel from any of its state employees to any state in America where the laws about gender identity and expression weren't up to California standards, forgetting that no one is ever up to California standards. Which meant that any Cali state worker, from congressmen to college football coaches, weren't allowed to visit on business half the country, evil totalitarian police states like Iowa. But Tony Atkins said, having grown up lesbian in the South, I know from personal experience growing up in a rural community where it is more conservative, that the way to change people's minds is to have direct contact. Polarization is not working. So last year, California repealed the ban. We can trade with Ohio again!
Start with California's approach to politics. Under Newsom, the state didn't just disagree with others. It drew a line in the sand, cutting off business ties with states that didn't share its values. It sounded bold, principled even. But here's the twist. Economies don't run on moral posturing. They run on cooperation. When you start shutting out half the country, you're not leading. You're isolating. And over time, that kind of isolation comes with a price tag.
Can't call it a drought if it happens all the time. In a story I'm getting tired of reporting, California is running out of water, and this time just when we started showering again. 19,000 acres of forest have already burned this year, and 72% of the entire West is in severe drought. Turns out hot girl summer is for reals. The Bay Area was just placed under a water shortage emergency with mandatory restrictions. Except here's the thing, there isn't, even with the drought, really a water shortage problem. It's more a where the water is going problem. California agriculture accounts for 80% of our water use, even though California agriculture is less than 2% of our economy.
Then come the wildfires, relentless, destructive, and now almost predictable. Maher's argument cuts deeper than climate talking points. He says this isn't just about nature, it's about management. California has water, but when fires hit, resources seem stretched thin. Reservoirs run low. Firefighters are left battling the impossible. At some point, this stops looking like bad luck and starts looking like bad leadership.
We actually have enough water. We just give way too much of it to farmers who get their water subsidized by the government because we still act like it's 1890 and farmers are small and independent when they're really mostly part of big ag. Old MacDonald is now E-I-E-I-O Incorporated. And corporations get what they want in America. We have spent the last 2 decades in perpetual drought here, yet almond farmers in California have doubled in that time, despite the fact that almond production alone uses more water than all the humans and businesses in San Francisco and Los Angeles combined.
And this is where things get uncomfortable. Roughly 80% of California's developed water supply goes to agriculture. A massive chunk, almond farming. In a state constantly warning residents about drought and forcing conservation, One crop is consuming an enormous share of the most critical resource. That's not just ironic, it's explosive.
Look at this chart of how much water it takes to grow different crops. Oranges, tomatoes, strawberries all take about 11 gallons to make 1 pound. Almonds, 1,900 gallons. That wasn't a problem back when it rained, but now there simply isn't enough water to go around, and we have to make a painful choice, getting it to the people or getting it in the nuts.
So while everyday Californians are told to cut back, shorter showers, higher bills, constant restrictions, industrial-scale farms keep flowing. That contrast is fueling a powerful perception that the system protects big interests first and everyone else second. Fair or not, that perception is spreading, and it's hard to ignore when people are watching their communities burn.
I have a few questions, starting with what the This is life and death, and almonds are just not crucial. No one has a t-shirt that says, "Don't talk to me till I had my almonds."
Because here's the contradiction no one can explain away. Conserve water, but not too much if you're a major industry. For critics, this isn't just policy failure, it's a priorities problem. And if voters start connecting these dots, Newsom's record in California could follow him everywhere, especially onto a national stage.
And almonds are just not crucial. No one has a t-shirt that says, "Don't talk to me till I had my almonds." They're fine in salads or in a gift basket for someone you don't really care about. And an almond joy is nice to have, but it's really just a Mounds bar with There will still be almonds in the world, even if they're not grown in places that never get rain. If we can direct coal miners in West Virginia to another line of work because coal is us, we should be able to tell almond farmers, you can't grow almonds where they don't grow anymore. You're bogarting the water.
Maher makes a blunt comparison. If states built around industries like coal can adapt and scale back, why can't California rethink how it uses water? Leadership isn't about protecting the status quo. It's about making tough calls before a crisis forces them on you. Even a small shift in water allocation could mean stronger reservoirs, safer communities, and fewer disasters spiraling out of control.
We are the most regulated state in the nation with more than 395,000 regulatory restrictions. It is a constant nightmare of inspectors and permits and fees. In this state, if you get to your car 10 seconds after the parking meter expires, it's already gone and you'll never see it again. California has rules about every nitpicky thing you can imagine. If you don't believe me, try parking in Santa Monica.
Then there's regulation. California has plenty of it. Maher jokes you need a mountain of permits just to fix a garage door. So here's the obvious question. If the state can micromanage small things, why can't it step in where it actually matters? Why not regulate water use with the same intensity, especially during emergencies?
You can't fly a kite in a park in Beverly Hills, or ride a bicycle, or climb a tree. But for 30 years, Nestle took water out of the San Bernardino National Forest under a permit that expired in 1988. And Coca-Cola is somehow allowed to take water from municipal water supplies, stick it in bottles, and sell it back to the taxpayers who own the water to begin with. 395,000 regulations, but somehow that slipped through the cracks?
Because on paper, California looks airtight. Rules, agencies, oversight everywhere. But in reality, enforcement often falls apart. Massive corporations continue operating despite violations, and aging infrastructure has already sparked deadly fires in the past. Maher's point lands hard. What's the value of strict rules if they don't prevent obvious disasters?
For a state that just loves to be up everybody's ass all the time, water management might be a better place to direct that instinct. I mean, where is the heavy hand of government when you need it? Californians can live without nuts. Just ask Caitlyn Jenner. But
at the end of the day, the argument comes down to something simple. California can survive without almonds, but it cannot survive without water. Water is survival. It's safety. It's stability. And when a state starts allocating it in ways that don't reflect that reality, people notice. That's why Maher's critique hits so hard. This isn't just about policy, it's about priorities. And if those priorities don't change, they won't just define California's future. They could define Newsom's political ceiling too.